Hey everybody, Jeremy here with the Practical IT channel. Today we're looking at the Ubuntu Daily Development Edition for what is going to be Hirsute Hippo. And we're going to go through the install and take a look, since this is going to default to using Wayland. My understanding is that Xorg is still going to be on there and can be selected at the login screen. So we're going to get started with the install and get into this. We're going to go ahead and start this up, and of course it wants to default to a different ISO than what I had selected. Hirsute Hippo, start. And of course, you've all seen these installed 100 times. So if you want to skip to the part where we're at the desktop and starting to poke around, or at least login screen, go ahead and check out the timestamps below and go ahead and jump into it. It is kind of interesting that this is saying NVIDIA graphics drivers when I'm running this in VirtualBox, and the graphics built into this particular machine are Intel and not NVIDIA. But hey, guess we'll work with whatever they throw up at us. We've got a very miniaturized desktop. I am curious if nope. All right, so we'll go ahead and do the install option. Okay, hopefully this won't start flipping out with all the flashing, and that was an isolated flash. But given what I've seen with Wayland on VirtualBox in the past, I am hoping that they have addressed that to some extent, but we shall find out in a few moments. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn off audio, and I'm going to let files copy, and I will come back when it's ready to reboot. All right, we've reached the end of the install. We're going to go ahead and reboot now. And we should be able to look at our new desktop in just a few moments. Just prepping to remove the disk from the virtual drive when it prompts, and keep this process moving. There we go. And we are getting rebooted, and see what we're presented with when this comes up. All right, let's see if we can get logged in and what it might do for us when we get to the desktop. It's taking a moment, so hopefully it is going to detect that we're in full screen mode, so it should theoretically give us the full 1920 by 1080, which is the native resolution of my monitor. Maybe not by default, but with a little bit of prodding, we should be able to get there pretty easily. Okay, display settings. On VirtualBox, this is almost always the first thing I do when I come into this, but we are still not seeing the 1920 by 1080. So let's go with 1440 by 900. That's at least usable, but I'll see about getting the guest editions installed, and then we will push forward. First thing we need to do, though, is install a couple of packages. Well, one to be exact. There are other things I normally install, but just to keep this thing moving as quick as possible, I'm just going to go for the one right now, and we'll see if we can't get this moving. And hopefully after guest editions are installed, we'll get the full screen display on this, which would just be nice. And I will come back once this is done, and we will take the next steps to get guest editions installed and then start working through this a little bit. Just one last thing before I go. I do want to take a look at settings and see if we can see easily if we're running X or Wayland. If we're running Wayland, I'm impressed because there's no flickering. So let's see if we can find that out real quick. Like, it's reported as X11, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually running X. So we'll try to find that out here in a moment. All right, we've got Build Essentials installed. Let's log out and see if we can make a determination from the login screen. Okay, so down here in the corner, Okay, so apparently right now it's defaulting to Ubuntu. We're going to switch it to Ubuntu on Wayland and see if we're met with any flickering or shenanigans. Okay, so far no real difference. I'm not seeing flickering. If it's going to be any different for screen resolutions. Obviously did not keep the resolution we set in X. Just out of curiosity, let's look at About and see. Okay, so windowing system does show Wayland when we're running Wayland. That is good to know. All right, displays. We locked up. All right, let's try this one more time. Display settings. No 1920 by 1080. Keep changes. All right, so I guess the next thing we'll do is try to install the guest editions. All right, we're back at our fresh Ubuntu daily install. And we are going to set out to get the guest editions installed and see if we can't get this full resolution. Currently it's at 1440 by 900 and we want the full 1920 by 1080. So we're going to do insert guest edition CD image. We can go ahead and say run, enter password, and then we can let it do its thing. That's finished, and we've got to restart the system in order to get that to kick in. So we'll go ahead and restart. Let's try it and see what happens. And look at that. We've got full screen. And we should be able to see that we're at full 1920 by 1080. All right, so that's a bonus. And I believe we are still in Wayland. So that's good. No flickering. So we'll go ahead and open up a terminal. And just to round this out, we'll run Lynis and see what we get. Once this finishes, now we can clone Lynis. Okay. So now we can go ahead and run Lynis. I'll make this full screen and bump the font size up. And we'll let this rip. All right, just real quick. Wow, we're at 65. Kudos to the Ubuntu developers. Just for grins, let's move up here. Of course, we don't have the firewall active. And the rest of this is going to be pretty normal stuff. Passwords, disabling unused kernel modules, USB storage, different protocols that may not be needed, cups configuration, legal banners, accounting, auditing. All right. So at this point, the development cycle for Ubuntu 21.04, wow, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. The last few versions of Ubuntu I've looked at have got either a 60 or 61 out of the box. This I'm impressed with, and if I were to reinstall this and do separate partitions for root, home, var, and temp, I think we could, get this up closer to a 70, and then, enabling the firewall and doing some of the other items on the list, get that up even higher. And yeah, this is shaping up to be a solid system, and if this is any indication of what their development process looks like between now and the next LTS 2204, I think we've got some great things ahead of us for Ubuntu. So in an effort to keep this short, I'm going to cut this here. But I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have not done so already, please go down, make sure to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave comments, smack that bell icon for notifications, and then cross your fingers and throw some salt over your shoulder. Because, YouTube may or may not give you notifications. And yeah, we can all watch this development together and see if things get better as we move closer to the next LTS. Thanks again for watching. Happy computing. Stay safe out there and have a great day.